Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Degenerate Economy. I am 60 years old, not the oldest degenerate, but one of the most enthusiastic degenerates. So it is my 60th birthday. I'm not going to share pics. They're out there on Twitter and Stocktwits. Thank you for all the well wishes. It was a fantastic birthday. We did everything. We raced cars. We went clubbing. We gambled. No zins, but there were zins passed around. A little bit of the herbs and a lot of drinking. So, and I will say the Vegas was popping. I keep hearing things that Vegas is a nightmare, and they still know how to throw a party. Big fight in town. It was packed. So let's get right into it. The reason I started this show is a couple of years ago. I built this index. It's free to everybody. I don't trade very often. This is just my expression of how I see the degenerate economy evolving, and you can see that it's continues to crush, broke out to all-time highs today. Nothing fancy about this portfolio, up almost 170% versus the Qs, which are up 70%. So this is, again, I can't imagine this continues to outperform both the market and the QQQs, but I feel really good about this portfolio. Alphabet, if you've been following me, it's my largest position. Sadly, I probably should have 20% in there. It's just not the way my mind works. So people can change the weightings here based on their own risk profile. I just think people should know that it has been my largest position. It is on an epic run, passing $3 trillion. I've, over the last year, been reducing Apple and adding semis and Bitcoin. And I added Figma, which is the youthful expression of how coding and design is going to work. And it's in my degenerate economy because that's how everything's built. Figma is kind of that stage one product for people like Adobe was to build the next levels of degeneracy. You can't say degeneracy without prediction markets. And I did a video that I'll share, a separate interview with Joe Fahmy that you can find on my newsletter. But this is still the biggest trend ever to hit degeneracy, because it combines betting, it combines trading, skills, news, events. Prediction markets are not new. They've been tried for 30 years and failed, whether it's been about weather and ticket sales and how hedge funds think about the world. But now, because of UI and because of technology, culture, the fact that Robinhood exists, the fact that crypto exists and AI exists, you have a perfect storm for what is unfolding. And pretty much only 1% of the population is even toying with this idea. So this week, Stocktwits announced its biggest partnership in this industry with industry leader Polymarket, which is, a multi-billion-dollar startup with just 40 employees. You will, in Stocktwits, be able to see the probabilities and go to Polymarket. Eventually, you'll be able to do this everywhere and just make event-based bets. It's a perfect partnership because our millions of users want this, and they want to express this, not so much that they're smarter, they just want to be able to place a simple bet on what the Fed does, not the results of it, but just a simple bet. And that is the game changer here. Not so much that you know what the market's going to do after, but that you can place a bet on an event. And, I've talked about this before. This becomes news. This will replace all the hate that happens in social media. Your opinions will be placed as bets. Those bets will become data. That data becomes the news. And if you want to argue, then work yourself to the social networks. I'm really excited about this partnership. This is a huge win for both Polymarket and Stocktwits. So it's fun to talk about degeneracy, but the world is not happy with gambling. Gambling is the problem. There is zero positive expectancy from these stupid bets that we have allowed around the world for people to place on sports. Because it's not earnings backed and because it's, I've never liked it. I'm not against it. I just don't like it. And this week, in India, they banned betting apps. And there are some huge companies. One is Dream 11, which I know some of the people involved. So I call this the best of time and also the worst of time. Just because stocks are going up, there is always a chance that the government will intervene. And I know it doesn't look like that in the United States under the current leadership, but you just have to remember that the best of times, rugs can get pulled as well. So in India, they're banning all betting apps. Here's what's going to happen, though. These apps have tens of millions of users in India. these apps will quickly become financial apps and prediction market apps in a different legal way. And so all you're doing is changing the way betting is done. And this is why I'm so bullish on the degenerate economy. From one death comes 1,000 lives. So companies like Alpaca that we're investors in are about to get an influx from Indian betting companies that now convert to financial markets and go through the regulation. So as dark as it is for some of these betting apps, the customers are going to actually be rewarded by having apps that actually will have opportunities for positive expectancy investing. And then finally, events and news can't be bet on without text-based data, real-time information. And this is what we were always building at Stocktwits. This is why Twitter has been so valuable despite the mismanagement and change of ownerships and all the flaws that we see and all the hate, et cetera, et cetera. In a world of prediction markets, you have to look at text-based real-time platforms. AI doesn't place bets. People place bets. People place bets because of data. Good and bad data, of course, eyes and ears, scanning the streams. And so Reddit, if you go look at the stock price of Reddit, you will see, and it's part of the Degenerate Index for a long time until recently, it's because of price, its data is so valuable. Even if you personally don't find it valuable, and I'm not a Reddit user, it is so valuable because of prediction markets. And so Reddit right now is this is huge news, seeking a new deal structure involving dynamic pricing. This is a great piece of news, even though it's not talked about here, for content creators. All those people that know how to share in real time and communicate in real time are eventually going to have money dribble down through them. Maybe not from Google or Microsoft, but companies like Cloudflare that are trying to get people paid for posting content. So we're in this incredible state of flux where the stuff we thought was worthless is now valuable. And one just has to go look at the Reddit chart. Why I'm excited and back as CEO of Stocktwits, the same thing applies to Stocktwits. Our curating and our trending and all the millions of people that are posting messages about their favorite stocks and ideas, this all becomes really valuable in an events-based prediction markets world. Hope that helps. Crazy week as usual in the degenerate economy, and we will see you next week.